My daughter's eyes, guys. I don't think it was fair. Her eyes were inside of my head. Her neck, it's like she lost weight instantly.
Vanessa, not her real name, breaks down as she recalls the condition of her baby daughter after allegedly being raped by her boyfriend in 2019, while the toddler was just 2 years old. Well, doctors later confirmed the worst, but now almost 2 years later, she says, no feedback on crucial DNA samples taken from her daughter's clothing, which included blood on her nappy.
I wanted to know, why is it taking so long? And then he told me, no, there's a backlog due to the pandemic, due to COVID-19. That's what he told me. Yeah.
A backlog of what?
There's a lot of different cases. So it's not only rape cases, it's murders, it's house break-ins, it's all different things. So obviously there's a backlog on all of that stuff.
Felicia, also not her real name, says her son was raped in 2019, allegedly by a maintenance employee at the school, while he was 13 years old at the time. She too relives the horror of that day.
So we went to that hospital, and the doctor cried and said the person that raped this child is so heartless. This child has been injured so badly. And they confirmed rape, and they said the child is injured so badly. For 2.5 weeks, my son could not hold his stool. It was coming out because he was injured. And every time he messed himself up, he got so angry and he cried.
Again, delays at the National Forensic Science Laboratory are denying her son justice.
There's no DNA coming back, and I don't think there will ever be DNA coming back. So already they've written letters to say they have thrown out the case because Aguna case, lack of evidence.
DNA is the entry point into the justice system for victims of sexual abuse. We have worked with children over the last 3 years in cases where the DNA has not been submitted and brought back for arrests to be effected. So definitely we are seeing that the absence of DNA, firstly, is not affecting the prosecution system, but also it's affecting the arrest process. And these parents are living in communities where they know their children are roaming the streets, but also the perpetrators are available for the children to be affected by.
Well, experts say this gives offenders carte blanche.
Worryingly is that where there are cases of repeat violent offenders, whether they're serial rapists or serial murders, those criminals will continue to commit these crimes until eventually they are later apprehended. And we've already seen big increases in murder and robbery, for example, and very high levels of rape. Where the police at the moment are only really able to solve around 20% of the murders that they record, which means 80% are not solved, and only around 16 or 17% of the robberies that are reported to them. So a vast majority of the criminals are getting away with this, which then leads them to a situation where they can commit further crimes.
A member of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police says he previously raised the alarm on this issue.
When the police came in March, they presented probably their most comprehensive presentation to date, which included a whole background into the tracking and tracing system and the controversies around one company who appears to have a monopoly over that system. They presented a solution that the State Information Technology Agency has now constructed, a solution which we were told was supposed to go live on the 6th of April, but Parliament is now in recess, and so I'm anxious to find out whether that in fact did happen. And then the most important thing was that they supplied a huge amount of detail around how they're going to tackle the backlog. I'm still skeptical that the backlog, in my view, is probably well over 200,000 case exhibits by now. That's millions of samples of DNA that need to be processed. And I just don't understand how they can get that done within the next year. I think that it's going to take a number of years for us to actually get to a point when the backlog is within a manageable number. At this point, I can't see it happening within the next year, which means that those thousands of victims and their families will continue to be victims of delayed justice.
While police did not respond to requests for an interview, despite being furnished with questions, all this while perpetrators still roam the streets and victims wait for justice. Chris Lewis, SABC News in Johannesburg.